Happy New Year. Stream starting. It's like a few people are already here, I think. I've set up a second monitor finally. Yeah, it looks like the stream's going. Fantastic. All right. I can't tell if anybody's watching yet. How do I tell that? It's been so long since I've done a live stream on my own. Yeah, it looks like we got a few people here. Fantastic. Well, welcome to the stream, you guys. First stream of the year. I guess we're starting off this year pretty strong. First upload of the year, first YouTube content of the year is a live stream. It's literally the 1st of January 2023. Hope everybody had a great, safe holiday season at the end of 2022. Hope everyone has had a great and safe New Year's. Great start to your new year. A few people are already here. Kale and John are here, of course. They came to ruin everything as usual. Miles is here, virtual train stuff, and Greenfly. Glad to have you guys with us. Yeah, dual wielding monitors. I've got my own stream up on this other one just so I can make sure that it's good. I have about a 3-second delay on stream, it looks like. So, all right. Well, I don't have a whole lot of plan for this live stream other than to just chat and answer questions and everything like that. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've done a solo live stream at all. I think I'm not even going to go back and look and see when the last time I streamed was. Apart from streaming Railroads Online with my friend JT, which was a spur of the moment decision one Sunday morning, about a month ago now already. We would like to do a Railroads Online stream again. He and I have been playing Railroads Online, I guess on average, something like once a week for about a month and a half, perhaps now. We've both been really enjoying it. We're playing on his save files, and our schedules, his and mine, don't always match up and sync up well to allow streaming that game or playing in general, even without streaming. But we would like to play or stream some more of it, so hopefully we can do that here in the coming few weeks. We were kind of thinking about like a once a month thing, but we'll just have to see about it. It says 9 people are here. That's incredible, especially considering I haven't live streamed in forever. My algorithm must be terrible, and people will probably not care about my content anymore. I've been on YouTube for, I think this will make my 15th year on YouTube, which means that towards the middle of last year, I hit my 14th anniversary on YouTube, which is insane. So, yeah, like I said, I don't have too much of a plan for this stream. Basically going to talk about the things that I did in 2022. I've got models to show off. Some of them I haven't posted yet, but all of the important ones like 19 and 763 and 12, all of those are already published, but like non-locomotive models and just like pieces of rolling stock, I have a bunch of stuff over here that I can show off as well, which I'll probably do. NP Minnetonka, welcome. Glad to see you join. And Austin as well. I'm one of the few channels he actually gets excited about when he sees an upload. Well, I'm honored. I'm glad that you have notifications turned on. I appreciate that very much. It always is. I'm tired, by the way. I've spent all day doing nothing, which means I'm tired. So if I don't sound enthusiastic, it's not because I'm not enthusiastic. It's because I'm tired. I was sitting in my chair just watching YouTube videos a while ago today, and I was not looking forward to streaming, but I had already scheduled it, so I'm going to do it anyways. I think that when I'm tired, it's the perfect time to push record because it's just no nonsense and genuine, I suppose. Can never get enough of my detailed builds, watching my model breakdowns. Glad you enjoy it. Love to learn the building process. My process is stupid. I have a terrible habit. I have a terrible set of habits that I've worked myself into from building and modeling, and I don't recommend them to anyone unless you just find that it happens to be what works really well for you. I have an incredibly specific way of doing things. Some good, some bad. Maybe, you know, old habits, maybe not bad habits, but something like that. It's an interesting process, that's for sure. Plans to make 1293. I enjoy making 1293 someday. This point, just build the whole Age of Steam fleet and replica of the Roundhouse. That would be quite a project. Maybe. I would need a place to put it first. I don't have a whole lot of space in my apartment. Tired Glenn is the most amusing Glenn. I hope that's correct. Things at Age of Steam are fine. I will not talk about them too much just because that's still a job. And, you know, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I have, speaking genuinely and personally, I have enjoyed every minute of Age of Steam, and I'm looking forward to next season. Totally. All right. Let's see. 2022 is quite a year. I wrote about this or reflected on it a little bit at the end of the year. A lot happened for me personally. A lot, some more like outside of the Lego hobby and Age of Steam. Some difficult times, of course, like it happens to everyone. Some trying times, but obviously we're through all of that now. Things have settled out quite a lot, and I'm still in a great place. I'm quite happy with where I'm at. Where I'm personally at with my life, I've really can't complain too much, or really at all. So yeah, but it was a good year though. At the end of every year, I like to focus on what I enjoyed about each year. And one of the biggest things, obviously, is Age of Steam. Continuing doing that and moving into an official part-time capacity with that was fantastic, and I'm looking forward to every minute of what comes along with that. There's a lot of stuff that I'm excited for, and a lot of stuff that I have to look forward to with that, and it's been a great ride so far. So that's been great. Of course, then getting into the Lego side of things, I think I published 3 Steam locomotives this year. Pretty much all of those were in the second half of the year, which I believe were just 12, 763, and 19. Working on several more. I've got a handful, I can't say that anymore. I've got a few other steam locomotives that I have in progress that are not quite yet done. One is very close to being done. Another one is close, but not quite as close. And then a third one needs a lot of kind of details and stuff like that. Just kind of like the last minute things. Like the build is physically there on this particular one, but like there's a lot of like details, and like I need to find some paint in different colors and do a lot of detail work and stuff like that to get the model over the finish line. But all of that takes a lot of time, and I have a lot of other interests at the moment, so I'm not worrying about it too much right now, but we'll get there. I think I answered your question, Miles. Austin, I do have some plans to build at least, I'd like to build at least 2 diesels of different models, different types of diesels. I've started on one of them digitally. I'd like to probably build that one first, just because I like the story behind it. The second one would be much more generic. Both of them would, of course, be just usable as generic diesels, but they're both quite different in prototype and quite different in the reasons why I would like to build them. But yeah, I would like to. Maybe that'll happen this year, but I don't know. I'll get to that actually, some things that I would like to do this particular year. Welcome, Nickelman and Nerdbrick. Glad to see you guys here. Baldwin Shark Nose and Lego, and the nose seems complicated. Can confirm it's a pretty interesting shape. There was somebody that did a decent one, but I can't remember. Can't remember who. I have seen one before. It was pretty nice. I don't have any plans for the Baldwin Shark Nose though. The RF-16s, I believe, but maybe in the future. We'll see. I guess we can go through the models now. I'll start with the least interesting things, I guess, and then work my way towards the more interesting things, and also start with what was already out in the world beforehand. First of which, I guess, is my Gray Ridge Combine. This is a very short, obviously, combination baggage and passenger car that I built at. Well, I designed it towards the end of 2020, and finally got around to building my own version of this car, my own copy of this car, in 2021. I decided, as I was building 26, my Gray Ridge 460, that I would need a passenger train for that engine. So, and the Combine kind of worked itself into that story. I can go over later as I build the rest of the train, which I've already got planned out. I've already got one of the cars as well, which I'll show off here in a little bit. We finished. But I really love, it's got marker lights hanging off the end of the roof and kind of semi-cartoony style, which I really like. I feel it's almost like out of like the Casey Jr. animation train from the original Dumbo film. I feel like that's like something that you would see in that film, is the marker lights hanging off the back of the roof rather than on the body here. So I put that, they light up. I've got a battery box in the baggage door. You can actually see the baggage clerk in there kind of peeking out, enjoying the ride. And there are actually 2 paying passengers in there and a conductor who is standing up, visible through this window. Kind of hard to see though, but I really like this car. It's one of my favorite. Well, I haven't designed a whole lot of passenger cars recently, but I really like the car because it's very unique. Inspired from John Allen's Gory and Defeated model railroad. He had a car very similar to this, almost identical actually to this. And I decided to replicate it in design and build my own copy, and I've really enjoyed having it. So the reason I'm showing this one off is because I did post this along when I posted 26 in the middle of last year, towards August, I think it was. I did publish this car, but it didn't have the decals on it, so I've got the decals on it since. You can see the Gray Ridge Arrowhead Herald there on the center of the car, and I've decided to number it number 6, which in the Gray Ridge numbering scheme does keeps this car numbered as a Caboose rather than a revenue passenger equipment, which I think is kind of interesting. It adds a little bit to the story. I have done a lot of thinking about Gray Ridge stuff, and I have actually I've got right here on the underside of my desk, well, on the side of my desk is a list of inspiration for more locomotives and different pieces of rolling stock that I would like to build for the Gray Ridge. Maybe that will happen more in 2023. We'll have to see. For now, though, continuing with Gray Ridge, another car that I published but was not complete when I published it is the Gondola car. Again, showing this off just because it has the final artwork applied. This is actually features printed tiles from Richard Glatter at Brickprint Studios. I've numbered this car 130, reporting marks GR. And this is information, car information, capacity information taken from very similar cars built around the same time period. So very happy to have this car done. It's also got the N number here printed on the parts. Really happy with this car. I love running it. It's a really neat fit for Gray Ridge, and just kind of fits the style of the railroad. Very happy to have that. In addition, of course, I have the flat car to go along with it. As I mentioned when I published these cars originally, I designed the flat car first and then built the gondola kind of on top of the platform of the flat car, like you would have done in real life. if you had a number of these flat cars in your fleet, but then needed a gondola car for one reason or another. So the body of the gondola was built on top of these. Very happy to have this flat car. Kale and I have actually talked about this before, but as simple as this car is, I mean, it is just a flat car, but we're both big fans of it. I mean, it's just a neat little car. Got the arch bar trucks on it that I designed, and got the knuckle couplers, and then all of the truss rods, of course, and the brake detailing underneath that you can kind of start to see there. And of course, the tiles on the side are printed as well. I numbered this 129, which was just the number before 130, which kind of in universe, I imagine that Gray Ridge would have built a gondola on top of some of their flat cars. So it's entirely possible that they would have used 2 consecutive road numbers and had 2 different cars. So that's what I did. Very happy with the flat car. I'm going to get a water bottle real quick because I'm already parched. Talking's hard work, man. I'm telling you. Nerd Brick, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. Hope you are as well. Of course, Kale loves the Gray Ridge Herald. I'm biased as well. Jeep 9 would be cool. I'd enjoy a Jeep 9. I would agree. That would be kind of neat. And then I have one more Gray Ridge car that I haven't published yet. I don't even think that I've shown any this car in any video before that I published. I can't honestly remember. Maybe I have, but this is, the camera's over here. This is a Gray Ridge baggage mail car. It's the baggage section here, and then the railway post office in this section here. This is based on a real car. It's the Southern Pacific / Union Pacific. It's actually a Harriman design. It's a 40-foot baggage mail car that was used on the Texas New Orleans / Southern Pacific, and the Union Pacific had at least one of these as well that I've seen photographs of. Very interesting car. I'm very much a fan of it. I've always liked the design of this car. It's just really interesting and unique with the roof, and of course being a 40-foot car, a 40-foot express cars makes it pretty interesting. So I was very glad to model this car and kind of give a neat story to it with the for the Gray Ridge. This car goes behind 26, my 460. Modeled it in dark green. Got all of the lettering on it done in the same imitation silver leaf that the Gray Ridge used. I numbered this car 15, which in my mind, the Gray Ridge would have used lower 2-digit car numbers for head end equipment, and then higher numbers for revenue earning passenger equipment. I do have some interior modeled in this car. I actually do have a mail clerk that can be seen sorting mail into cubby holes. It's a little bit difficult to see, but it is in there. I've also modeled a baggage section in some capacity. There are several items just kind of stored and placed inside of the baggage section. One of the more interesting things that I have in there is actually like one of the Native American headdress pieces back from like the early 2000s or the 90s or whenever Lego was making that part. I put that up on kind of like a little stand and placed it in there, which I think is kind of neat because it's like, you know, maybe somebody along the Gray Ridge line is like an eccentric collector and posts just a Native American headdress and had it sent over the Gray Ridge via express mail car. So it's in there, and it's kind of an interesting addition to the story of the car. That's basically it. This car is also lit on the inside. It has brick stuff lights in it. I've got one light in the mail section, one light in the baggage section. Well, the light is about here. The battery box is actually over here because it's no windows there. Makes a lot more sense. Really happy with this car. It looks really neat behind 26. I do have a couple more passenger cars that I want to build to go with it that will more similarly match this car. I have a couple more cars planned to build that and kind of fill out the rest of the passenger train that I have planned for the locomotive. But that brings us to this car. I should have mentioned as well these ladder pieces here, of which there are 4 on each side of the car. Those are from Trained Bricks, the same guy who supplies a lot of custom steam locomotive drive rods. These are actually bought with my winnings from the Brick Train Awards in 2021, which I'm very happy to have. They served the job perfectly, and I was happy to use the virtual gift card, I guess, to support Train Bricks and get something that I needed for this car. And I think that those custom pieces work quite well. I'm very happy with them. I think I really love the overall look of this car. It's very unique and interesting. I'm quite pleased with it. Let's see. Calvin's here. Welcome, Calvin. Directions for the baggage. No plans for any directions right now. That's one of the things that I've kind of come to realize about myself. Probably more so in 2022, just than maybe any other year, and probably a little bit 2021, but more so this year, is that I really enjoy doing this hobby for myself. Now, of course, I have participated in like Brick Model Railroader and Brickmania, and pretty much just those two things. As far as doing Lego, like creating instructions, creating models to be sold as instructions or full kits or what have you. And it was fun. I wouldn't trade that experience for anything, but it's not something that I want to do anymore in the near future at all. I feel I got to the point where I was quite burnt out on doing all of that stuff, and even doing it for fun. Just having that thought in the back of my head, just like, oh, I need to get this done, I need to get this out, and I need to publish it and share it with people and through whatever channel I decide, even if it's just not even selling it, even if it's just something that I'm posting for free use. Basically, it's just not something that I'm interested in. It's just I want to do this hobby for me. I want to get the enjoyment out of it that I desire, because this is so much fun for me. But adding the extra layer of I guess whatever the word is, adding the extra thought process, adding the extra layer of I have to get this done, I have to get this out, creating the instructions, designing something so it can be rebuilt by others is not something I'm interested in. So not planning to do instructions or kits or anything for the time being. Maybe that'll change, but for right now, definitely not in the cards. Get that out of the way with everybody. Cool. I appreciate it. What else is next? A couple cars that are not necessarily unknown, but I've got the Brick Model Railroader 36-foot refrigerator cars, both versions. These are the NMRA special and premium instructions from BMR this year. I bought these, and I bought the printed parts for both versions of the car. This is the Liberty Bonds design for the St. Louis Refrigerator Company. Kale, correct me on that name if I'm incorrect. Kale did a great job on this car. I'm very much a fan of it. I kind of glad to have a 36-foot car in my collection now, or two of them rather. I'll show the other one off here in a minute. Really nicely done. Kale did a great job on the car. 36-foot cars are often pretty interesting to do. It's a 5-stud door, done with some pretty clever techniques. I'm quite pleased with how they turned out. I know Kale is as well. And of course, the artwork is all printed on. I did pay a little bit more for printed parts for these as opposed to decals. In my opinion, printed parts is always worth it. And they certainly get the job done. They came already assembled, and pretty much I just had to move some parts around just to make everything line up properly. But once I put the car together, that was it. It was done, and I didn't have to apply decals. So totally worth it in my opinion. I'm very much a fan of both of these cars. The Liberty Bonds is especially cool just because it's got the military tie-ins as well. It was a World War I era car, really. And then the other version of this car, St. Louis Refrigerator Car Company. Thank you. This is the first version that came around. St. Louis Refrigerator Car Company. SLRX reporting marks. This is for basically these cars served the Anheuser-Busch plant around St. Louis. Refrigerator cars, of course, manufacturing alcohol or beer, you need to put them in refrigerator cars. They rostered quite a few of the cars just like this. Kale did a good job creating it. It's the same exact design as the other one that I just showed you, but slightly different in outward appearance, different color on the roof and ends, but same white. But the red stripe on this car is really nice. That's a big decal, but it did turn out really well. Kale did, as always, a great job on this car. Very happy to have both of them. Definitely worth spending the money on, in my humble opinion. Speaking of things that Cale designed, this car, Pennsylvania Railroad X29 class box car, 40-foot car, but very short in height, very characteristic of the X29s. Cale did a fantastic job on this car as well. He always does a fantastic job, really. This car is, sorry about that. This car, you might could tell by looking at it. If you keep your eyes and ears open, you might recognize this car. This is the X29 at Age of Steam. That car was actually completed this year, allowing with the artwork being done on it. I forget exactly when, but it was completed this year. When that work was completed, I walked right up to the car and took really good photographs of the artwork on it, which allowed Cale to recreate that artwork to put on the car. Matches perfectly. This particular car, indicated by the extra grab rails on the ends, actually was originally used in express service, as far as I can remember. Cale modeled like 12 different versions of the X29 with different style doors. Very intricately modeled, I might add. Did need a modification on the ends, but once that's done, car is perfect. I have absolutely no complaints about this. It looks like an X29. The decals are fantastic. Love having this car. Another Age of Steam piece in the fleet, of course, only appropriate for that. Trying to look. Oh, I've got more rolling stock on my coffee table here. Another refrigerator car. This is the Yingling Penn Refrigerator Lines Reefer. There are only a couple of these cars in existence, as in a couple of these models of this car in existence. It's kind of a what-if car, but basically this car came around as a gift from Cale to Nate Flood, and I'm very happy to have a copy. I got printed parts for mine. There are, I think, maybe 5 or 6 of these cars in existence anywhere, and they're not available to anyone else. So I'm very happy to have one. It's a really neat car. This was actually a Christmas present from Cale last year, or 2 years ago, technically. Now it was a Christmas present from Cale in 2021. Very happy to have this car. I like it a lot. Its scheme on it's very sharp. This is the BMR-9 rebuild car as a base with the raised platforms around the ice hatches specifically, but then it's just brown and dark tan. Not necessarily the easiest thing to see, but also the artwork on this is incredible. Cale also did a fantastic job. He built the car and sent it to me like this, so I'm very, very pleased to have it. Very unique car. And glad to have another refrigerator car in my collection, of course. I've got 2, maybe 3, a couple more pieces of rolling stock, and then 2 cabooses to talk about, which are already published. But I have a Pittsburgh and Lake Erie USRA rebuilt steel box car. This particular model of this car is actually the first prototype car that I built of this design. This is the first one that I built. Originally, I built it to be published and produced as the Brickmania kit. I went back and changed this particular model of the car to have an all reddish brown roof instead of the black roof like that's on the Brickmania kit. I've already got the kit, so I don't need another one of these. Maybe I'll like to build one anyways, but I decided to make this a Pittsburgh and Lake Erie car after I found a really nice photo of one. Decided to change the trucks on this and have Cale do some really nice P&L-y artwork for the car. Came out very nicely. Very happy with this car. I use it quite frequently. This was my first adventure in modeling the Andrews trucks, which I'm very happy with my design for. It works very well, looks the part, and rolls very nicely. So another P&L-y car for the collection. Really quite happy with this one. I do love the way it looks. Can't but not enjoy Pittsburgh and Lake Erie. I've got one more box car here, which is probably the most interesting of the ones that I'm showing off. Roll back over here. 6 Yingling Reefers exist, 4 more are planned. There you go. Oh, Techno Andrew's here. Happy New Year, Techno Andrew. Thanks for joining. Last box car that I'll Yeah, last boxcar period before we get to the Cabooses is a USRA single sheet boxcar. These are pretty interesting. There's a number of different ways you can do these diagonal braces on this car. My way of doing it comes from um, Patrick Strawbridge or Vince Fusca, neither of which are very much involved in the hobby anymore. But I once received a digital file of a car very similar to this from Vince, I believe it was, which I've kept, thankfully, which has given me the inspiration to take that technique for the diagonal braces. Basically, it's just flex tube held together with twine or string or what have you, and take it a step further. This is a very intricately designed car. Not trying to brag, but it's just the way the car is. I built the car basically in sections. Each diagonal brace is basically one section, and it kind of gives the car a modular design. I did have to modify this car a little bit. You'll notice that there's only so much space here between this vertical rib here and the ladders on the ends of the car. There's only so much space there to allow for decals to be put in or any artwork at all. So I had to go back through and fix that before I put the decals on this car. It took a lot of work to figure out how to do, but I'm very happy with it now. Very pleased with my version of this car. I'll probably make a few more single sheets cars. I know I need at least one more. Um, but I'd like to make a couple more. JT, the guy I was playing Railroads Online with, he's also created his own single sheet box car. We were actually kind of coordinating in design when I was designing this and he was doing that one. Completely different cars, but they take very similar approaches in the design and construction of the car. So this is mine, the USRA single sheet. It's a 40-foot car. Same exact dimensions outwardly as the rebuilt steel car that I just showed off, but the only differences is that this car is 7 studs wide in the main construction of the body right here, and then the extra stud comes in 1/2 stud on this side and a 1/2 stud on this side, which gives you enough space to mount the braces. Quite a car to build, very finicky. I might try and do something slightly different for mounting these braces in. I might try to use a thicker wire. That was one of the suggestions that I got from a nice guy named Chuck. He recommended, he built a car with similar design features on it and recommended using almost like a really thin piano wire or something like that instead of like a string. I literally use like sewing thread to like hold all these in, and it works. It works very well. I haven't had a problem now that the car is all together, but it's very finicky to go through and do. And should this car ever go from floor to ground, it would basically need to be completely rebuilt from the ground up. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but very pleased with this car. Very unique approach. Again, this idea for the diagonal braces using the flex tube and holding them in there with string does go back to quite a ways at this point. I believe I received that file. This was certainly back in the days when I was still using Lego Digital Designer for models, and it was well back into those days. So it's probably getting on 8 years at this point. I know Vince or Patrick or both of them actually built single sheet box cars using that technique back several years ago at this point. So I can't claim any originality. I can't claim any part of that design for myself, but I'm very happy to be able to build on it in my own way and produce my own model of a really interesting car. This adds so much variation to any freight train. I really need a lot more of these to model good freight trains, just because of how much texture and interesting like drama that they add to a train as it rolls by as you're watching it. But yeah, very happy with this. Looking forward to building more. Go ahead and put this back, and then we can move into, I guess, the Cabooses, which I guess go with the engines, so we'll talk about them together. By the way, if you have any questions, just throw them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. Speaking of questions, I do still have the Crusader, Austin. I would love to rebuild it, but still got a lot of other things that I want to do first. I do love the Crusader a lot. It's still my favorite streamlined train, but not interested in enough currently to build another one. You need the sweater. Yeah, the sweater is well, it's a full zip fleece, but it's got an embroidered number 12 on it. This was actually a gift from Age of Steam to me this year, which was very nice of them to do. They gave well, they gave pretty much everybody one, but this is not actually available in the gift shop. So again, not trying to brag, but it's pretty cool. Cabooses. I'm pretty sure I've got all of the rolling stock out of the way now. I've set everything out. By the way, you guys better appreciate me for this. I had all of these models packed up in that box to go to shows, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. I had all of these packed up and I got them all out to do the stream. So you better appreciate this stream. Just saying. Cabooses. We'll start with this one. Really enjoyed building this caboose. This is the Oregon Pacific and Eastern caboose number 3. Very sharp orange and sand blue scheme. Sand blue up here on the cupola and just under the roof line. Dark bluish gray roof. White accents and just regular freight car black trucks. Really enjoyed building this caboose. I actually have to thank one of my other friends, Tommy, for helping me kind of figure out the actual heritage of the real car that allowed me to produce a much better model of this particular one, because I had no idea for a while of what the actual lineage of the real caboose was until we had this conversation one day, and he kind of was like, "Oh yeah, it looks like a Southern Pacific caboose," and wouldn't you know what it was. Interestingly enough, or appropriately enough, I should say, because the Oregon Pacific and Eastern interchanged with Southern Pacific in Cottage Grove, so Southern Pacific caboose. But anyways, this car was pretty interesting to build. Haven't built an orange car before. I built the Brick Model Road or refrigerator car, but that's it. First orange car of my design. It was kind of interesting to work with a color like that. I did have to paint 2 parts, which are actually just the 2 by 3 windows or frames for the windows, which are just here on the doors on the end of the car. Hard to do this. I had to paint those in orange. Color match is pretty good. It's actually a brush paint instead of a spray, so it doesn't quite cover like a regular spray paint would, like the stuff I use for the connecting rods. But covered pretty well, and it's not a super prominently featured piece, so I'm happy with it. The ends of this car, or the roof of this car, are removable, very simply. There is an interior. I did model the interior as accurately as I could, according to what I could see shown in Emperor of the North. And that does include, by the way, if you don't follow me on Flickr, you should, because I write all of this stuff in the posts when I post the models there. But it's accurate right down to the interior of the car. If you've seen Emperor of the North, you remember in the beginning, or towards the beginning of the movie, when Shaq picks up his hammer out of his locker. That's the locker. And there's actually a Coca-Cola advertisement that's just seen above this window of the car. But this is that exact Coca-Cola advertisement. I found a digital image of the real thing and had Kale print that as a decal. So that's proper detailing right there. You don't get that from anybody else. I'm kidding. But it's not. It's the kind of I say that as a joke, but it's the kind of thing that like you really have to watch specifically and watch something intently to figure out that it's even there in the first place. But I'm kind of glad that I was able to pick up on it, because it's kind of a neat little feature of the car. And of course the rest of the car as well, as like the stove and the desk and the bunks and everything like that. So yeah, this is a fun car to do. Southern Pacific Caboose, I mean, it makes it pretty easy. The window decals, which are so the inside of the real Caboose had, like, on the cupola windows and on the end windows here, had iron bars that go across them, 3 of them in total on each window, except for this one, which had 2 bars, which you should be able to see there. My camera is doing like working overtime and focusing, but you can kind of see it there. Featured in the movie, so I had to replicate it in Lego. Glad I did. The outside of the car is pretty simple, just Oregon Pacific Eastern 3. They did actually own this car on the OP&E. It was repainted like this for the movie. Didn't look anything like this beforehand, but I think this is a very sharp appearance for the car. It's got the marker lights on the back. Car's not 100% done. I published it anyways because it's close enough to just go with it. I do need a couple more decals, but you'll never be able to guess where they need to go unless you're, again, really look for the details. And I need one last detail to go on the car, which will most likely have to be a custom piece. But again, car is good enough to be called done, so I'm publishing it anyways. And of course, I had to publish it to go along with 19, which we can talk about next, I suppose. My 19 video was far and above the video that is it's the longest model video that I've uploaded on my channel by far. I'll bring it over here. Make sure the caboose doesn't roll away from me as I do it. And I'm going to take off the not secured parts before I show this off and answer questions from the chat before I do. All the trains indeed. Working on a model of the innuendo would be Mountain Deer. Couldn't find a way to do the colors easily, so funding running base with no boiler. Yeah, that does get interesting. I would say just do decals, because basically it just comes down to paint. That's what the real railroads would have done. Any show vlogs coming soon? I guess I can just talk about that now before we get into 19 and the 763. I would like to make some more show vlogs. I haven't made one in a long time, and it's because I haven't been interested in going to any shows, or the shows that I have gone to, I haven't been interested in recording very much. I just wanted to go there and enjoy them. But maybe I think that's starting to change now. There are a few different events that I'm going to in January and February, which I will actually bring trains to, and I'm looking forward to. I'm really hoping that I can either force myself or enjoy it enough to record good video at those events and put them all together in a vlog. It might be, it might not be like the full, record every minute of the day and then like talk about it at the end of the day. Like I've done in a lot of vlogs, like I don't know whichever ones I did that in. But I would like to post more videos from events. And like I said, I have, there are 3 events that come to mind that I'm going to between January and February, which I'm very much looking forward to. There are 3 very different events, and but in all 3 events, I'm actually going to bring models and hopefully be operating all of them. Not all of them, but hopefully be operating some of my models at each one of these shows. So the plan is anyways to record and hopefully post video of it. So we'll see. Recent video on 763, well presented, put together. Very glad to hear that. 763 and 19 are very special models to me. Obviously, I talked about why 19 is very special in that video for 15 minutes or 20 minutes or so at the end of the video. So, pretty obvious. But 763, I don't think that I talked about it quite as much, or certainly not in the same way or capacity that I talked about my connection with 19, of course, but I never expected to have such a love of the nickel plate 284s that I did, or that I've developed when I was researching those engines. And honestly, a lot of it came from, I mentioned this book in the video itself, but a lot of that enjoyment came from Berkshires of the Nickel Plate Road. This is such a good book. Like, it's not just a technical book on Berkshires, it's actually a story. Like, it's it's literally a story that tells, details the development of the Berkshires from before the conception, from, before pen was put to paper and designing them. Literally starts with a story of the nickel plate and ties the engine into the railroad in such an effective way. and gives you all the context that you need for why those engines exist and the ways that they were such good engines, not just as physical steam locomotives. They were great steam locomotives, some of the best ever built, but they were such good locomotives for the nickel plate specifically. And reading all of that, and then again backing all of that up and tying it in with like the mechanical appreciation, the technicalities, and just the fact that they were like some of the best steam locomotives ever designed in the United States, I developed such a love for those engines that I never would have expected. So 763, of course, that one in particular is the one preserved at Age of Steam. So I had to build that one, like I said in the video. But it was such a really cool story to read, a really interesting piece of history for American railroading. Yeah, very special video, very special locomotive. Again, along with 19. So I really did try to outdo myself a little, at least a little bit, with both of the videos that I made for those engines, just because of how much they've stuck with me in both cases. Again, for different reasons, but that's really where that comes from. Just again, the love for it and wanting to present. For one thing, just do a great job on the model of both of those, the models of both of those engines, but then also present them in such a neat and like video essay sort of way that I'm glad it's well appreciated. That's a really long-winded response to that comment, but I'm very glad to get it. Meaning to get around to the 19 video. Yeah, that's a long video. Like I said, it's like basically 56 minutes, so roughly an hour long, and it's like I said, the last like third of it basically is just me talking to the camera with the model in front of me saying like, all right, this is why I like 19 so much. But I mean, I definitely tried hard on both of those videos. I would say the 19 one specifically. Again, that comes down to like all of the photographs and information that I have on the locomotive just through research and through collecting and different aspects of it like that. So very glad that the effort is appreciated. It means a lot to me. Thank you. Let's see. Catch myself up here. There's a small bobblehead of the Big Boy restaurant mascot in the cab of 1225. Yes, you should make that. That's actually fantastic. Your favorite American steam locomotive? I guess you mean the Berks. They're fantastic. I've got to agree. Not my personal favorite. Well, they're up there, but not my all-time favorite. Every loco in the world has unique stories why it came to be. There isn't really such a thing as an off-the-shelf engine, at least not designed to be. You say that, but Alabama, Tennessee, and Northern 401 at the Age of Steam Roundhouse, and actually Strasburg 90 are both literal catalog locomotives. They were designed to a standardized set of blueprints and sold literally off of a catalog page. And both of those two engines are the same, went to completely different places, but again, they're the same locomotive. They were built to be a literal off-the-shelf locomotive. There were also demonstrator steam locomotives or like shop locomotives. The Southernwood Preserving number 3, also at Age of Steam, formerly Tennessee Valley, is actually a shop locomotive built in 1926, but kept at Alco until 1928 when it was finally purchased. And 1928 is actually the year on the builder's plate instead of 1926. They tell you this kind of stuff on tours. Oh, my word. Wondering if you could talk for 20 minutes about why your favorite steam locomotive is what it is. Well, give it a shot. I would love to watch that video. Tweetsy Railroader has joined. Glad you could make it. Very glad you're here. Catalog locos are more of a thing over there. That's probably true. I mean, this gets a little bit, this is a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but just kind of my layman's perspective is railroads kind of did their own thing over there. I mean, like, actually, just today we're celebrating the 100th anniversary of the 1923 Grouping Act. I do know that. But it seems like a lot of railroads kind of had their own specific like way of doing things, and a lot of railroads did over here. But I would say that that's also more down to the locomotive manufacturer. One of the things that I've heard said at Age of Steam is that there were 3 major manufacturers in the United States, and all of them had their own way of how to build a steam locomotive. Go figure. Let's see. Any tips to make Lego trains more realistic? Been gathering parts to build one of your favorite engines. I could very easily guess which one. To make them more realistic, honestly, it just comes with practice. That is the most off the top of my head thing I could say. I've literally been building Lego trains for 15 years now. I'm pretty sure. In a more serious way, that is. I've been always interested in Lego, but I've been making my own trains for like 15 years now. And like, again, this is not at all trying to sound like, I'm better than you or anything else like that. Seriously, it's the last thing that I want to come across as, but stuff like this just doesn't happen. Like, this is something that you have to work at and practice with and strive to do better for. A lot of people it just clicks with a lot of people. And again, before I go any farther, this is not to disparage anybody. This is not to raise anybody else up on a pedestal. This is just the way that I'm seeing things. So I'm trying to not like stir any pots here, but sometimes it just clicks with some people. Like, I'm very mechanically minded. I'm very detail oriented by nature. A lot of this exact kind of work speaks to me on a like mental level that I can't even describe. Some people have to work here a little bit more at it. That's just part of the way things are. But everybody will get better at doing something through practice. That is like what I owe the vast majority of my skill to. Every locomotive that I design is better than the previous. I'm always trying new techniques, looking at new ways of doing things, looking at maybe I could do this differently than I did before, that kind of thing. I also have a natural eye for detail. I notice every single part of every single locomotive. Um, well, I try to notice as many parts of as many locomotives as I can. And then but in addition to just noticing a component, we'll say, I also try to figure out what that component is, why it's there, how it works, how it's made, why it's placed there specifically. That completely expands my knowledge base in general. I find that to be really helpful. Like, I talked a little bit about it with 763, modeling the Worthington feed water heater, or I'm pretty sure it was the Worthington. I'm fuzzy already. Again, I'm tired. Um, Learning how to do the feed water heater and like learning each component of that. Like, I've literally found diagrams of that particular design of feed water heater that literally goes, here's this, here's this, here's this, here's the lines that link them together. Here's where the water comes in from the tender. This does this, this does this, this does this. Here's the flow of water in every direction. And then it gets put into the boiler. Stuff like that completely expands your knowledge of what you're doing, which is learning is a fantastic thing, but it also tells you exactly what you need to be looking for as you build or design models. It helps so much. Again, that's a long-winded response to a very simple question, but hopefully that helps. Hopefully I've given you something new to think about. Hopefully you're at least somewhat inspired to try something new. It does take a lot, and it does get very challenging at sometimes, but it's very rewarding. Let's see. Already behind on comments. Let's see. 100 years since the grouping. Yeah, that was just came up on my Twitter through different people that I follow. Apparently, it's 1923 Grouping Act, 2023 now. I guess it took place in January, so there you go. It's already January 2nd there. Yeah, I guess that's true. We're almost a full day into the year already. Over here, radius track does my largest engine require? I design around the R104 radius. The reason being is that is the best turnout radius that we have available currently in the Lego train market, either standard or non-standard parts. So R104 is the best turnout. R104 is the minimum radius that I design around. Every single one of my locomotives, large or small, is designed to that radius. If I can't get it to go around that, I'm doing something wrong. So there you go. I'm answering a lot of questions now. We'll get back into the models once I am more caught up. Definitely agree. Practice will always help. If you constantly try to improve a little bit each time, you can go far. Completely agree with that, Andrew. Very well said. Tend to go for more simplified design, make sure the outline of the locomotive is accurate. Absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Very good approach to doing that. There is nothing wrong, and actually there's a lot of advantage to doing that anyways. You can always overcomplicate things, but starting more simply will often help in a lot of cases. Let's see. Building great trains take a few great failures. That is definitely true. I've had some great failures. Just start building. Each build will get better. Also very well said. Key dimensions are important. If you can find a way to scale off a picture, diagram, or drawing, that can be a big help. Absolutely. That's where I always start, is trying to find dimensions and information like that. in addition or as part of the baseline research that I try to do with a locomotive before I start, or any model, which includes buying books, photos, just researching in general, that kind of thing. Always the most important part. Answered this question, Gavin, already. Hopefully did a good job of that. Owen is here. Very glad that you could join, Owen. Very happy to see you. Hope you're doing well over there now. Love the Caboose. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit more. I will upload the VOD of this stream. Of course, if you're joining late and want to go back and watch the rest of it, I'll do that on my channel. All right, that catches me up with comments. Now we can talk about 19. It's going to be kind of hard to do this because 19 is a steam locomotive and it's connected to the tender, so I'll have to hold it up for a little bit, talk about it, set it down. But here's 19. Very happy with this model. I get just kind of just talk about it all over again. 19 to me, and this is probably because like this is my model and I've worked with this from start to finish to now. 19 is certainly not as technically impressive as 763, which we'll get to in a little bit. It's a physically smaller engine. It's less impressive in a lot of ways. It's a catalog locomotive, actually. It's a very standardized design built by Baldwin's 90-ton logging Mikado, as opposed to the spectacular nickel plate 700 Berks. But like I talked about in the video, and I don't want to get into the whole thing again, but 19 is the special locomotive for me, and I'm very happy with it, even though I already want to build another one. But maybe we'll get there at some point. I was actually just talking to Kale about that not too long ago. I would love to build another version of 19. Maybe I would do something different as far as the way I model the locomotive. I would love to model 19 in different parts of history. I think that would be really cool. I've got a couple other ideas that would be really nice to do, but a lot of that will have to come later because I would like to do something else right now. Details of certainty could be weird about picking that thing up. 19 is actually really simple. The whole boiler and cab come off in one easy assembly, like literally just that. It's very easy to do. I'm very actually quite pleased with that. That doesn't always happen. The 763 is actually just about the same way. I always kind of like work myself up over like taking apart models to like maintain them, or for whatever reason I would have to dismantle them in any form or to any extent. But 19 and 763 are actually fantastically easy to work with. Very happy with that. But yeah, 19 modeled as featured in Emperor of the North to the best of my ability. I talked about the State of Oregon Herald on the tender there. Painstakingly and meticulously created by Kale with literal spoken direction from me over hours, over weeks, over months, over years. And I am more happy with that logo than I have ever been with any other piece of artwork ever. And it's my favorite railroad logo in the world. I love it so much. Very happy with it. And I've already got the t-shirt made for it, which you'll see in my 19 video. Kale's in the chat. Kale, you already did I already told you that is, but you did a fantastic job on that logo, and thank you for your help on it. But of course, yeah, I've got the characters from Emperor of the North here. A number 1, played by Lee Marvin. Again, I went over all of this in the official video, but we're live streaming, we're chatting. No reason why I can't go over it. A little bit of it again. Cigarette, played by Keith Carradine. Cracker, played by Charles Tyner. Hogger, played by Malcolm Atterbury. And Coley, played by Harry Caesar. Good cast, I think. Very well played in the movie. Very happy to have the minifigs and not have to use too many custom parts. The Shaq's cap, as I mentioned, is one of the Brickmania cap pieces. They had a few extras that they sold to me, which I'm very thankful for. Very happy with those. I've actually got a real version of that exact cap in my collection, like one that fits me. Very happy to have that. She tried doing McLeod 18 at Sister. Only sisters in the fact that they're both 90-ton Mikados. They were not built for the same railroad. It's just a small miracle that they ended up at the same railroad with consecutive numbers. But you're right, I could build McLeod 18. Could get some of those shiny silver books, make it from the 1980s. Yeah, I would. That's actually would be one of the versions I'd like to do. Well, I'd like to do the OP&E version from the 80s, back after they repainted it into the more general excursion look from after having been an Emperor of the North. I'd love to do that. One of these days, I'm sure I will. Or do a Wairika version. It does feel kind of weird talking about 19 now. Like, I've tiptoed around talking about it for so long, and now it's like out in the open. It's like, hey, here's my favorite locomotive. It's right here. It's this relatively dinky little steam locomotive that was featured in a movie that the vast majority of the population doesn't even know about. But here I am talking about it on a live stream now. It feels kind of weird to do, but I'm happy to be there. A lot of work went into it, and very happy with the result, and excited about where I'm going with that whole project. So glad to have it out there. Let's see. Oregon's icon locomotives, absolutely. I mean, it just so happened to be an Oregon locomotive. I would have built it even if Emperor of the North was featured in a different place. But you know, in my opinion, all of it just kind of works so well together to create something so interesting and really cool. So 19's a good one. Gavin the movie is Emperor of the North, 1973 film with Lee Marvin, Ernest Borgnine, and Keith Carradine. Very rough and tumble film. I believe the rating is PG. It's more of a PG-13 movie. I would say PG-13 by modern standards, but pretty good movie. Very good representation of railroading during the Depression in America. Very good representation of the way of life of hobos in that time period as well. And my personal favorite film, so I'm a little bit biased, but highly recommend it if you ever get the chance. It does play on some channels. To my knowledge, I don't know if it's on like Netflix or whatever. I would kind of doubt it, but maybe you'll find it. So yeah, I've got the characters, got 19. The Caboose is, like I said, also modeled to represent the Oregon Pacific and Eastern Caboose number 3 from the movie. I would like to model more equipment from the movie going forward. That's one of the plans from 2023 is doing more of that. I've got a lot of the research that I need to do so, and I've got a lot of different models started to do all of that. And I've actually got a few already physically built in progress. One of them just needs decals. It's not over here. I'm just doing that. I've got one of the models built already that just needs decals. I've got a couple others started. But I would like to revisit them and probably build another new version of those cars. And then I've got a couple more digital designs that are nearing completion, and some that I need to go back and basically start from the ground up with. So I'm all over the place with it, but that's one of the things that I would like to do in 2023 is model more equipment from Emperor of the North. Let's see. Touching back on the Caboose fleet discovered its persistence. Yeah, the Caboose, this is getting into the research side of Emperor of the North that I've been involved in. As far as I've been able to tell, and as far as Owen here has been able to tell, Owen is kind of from out that in that area of the country. We actually believe that this car, the real OP&E number 3, is actually still in existence at somewhere out in Oregon, Eugene specifically. So that's pretty cool. And one of the cars that was in the fast mail train was preserved, but it's actually been scrapped this year, very unfortunately. But I'm well familiar with what the car is and have a pretty decent reference. I know exactly which car it was, where it came from, and everything like that. So at this point, I know roughly like what the dimensions of the car were. I know generally how the car needs to look. There are a couple of really good photos that I've found through my research taken from the OP&E during the filming of the movie, so I've got really good references for it. But There we go. Owen has actually helped me a lot with a few different things because some of the equipment from the movie does still survive and is actually still in the state of Oregon. Not all of it is, of course. I-19 is in Ohio and other pieces are across different parts of the country. Get on a little bit more on the research. So I don't want to just go out and say everything that I've found about the movie because I found a ridiculous amount of information about the movie, but I want to put all of this information into a very nice, presentable form. I'm still working on some ways of doing that. I have a couple leads on one way that I would like to do the most, but I don't want to just share everything because in my mind, sharing everything online would take away from the value of whatever final way that I want to present kind of the whole thing in kind of a very nice, neat, like organized way. Just so basically putting one big research project together in a physical medium. That's what I want to do. So I'm not sharing these things because I want to be like, say, like, no, this is my research. I found it. Nobody else can have it. Far from. I want to talk about this and I want to share it, but I want to do so in the right ways. So what I would like to do is do it in a very neat, very presentable, very polished and tidy way. And in my mind, sharing everything on the internet or wherever beforehand would take away from the value of the final product. So that's my reason for that. But I am, as much as I can, trying to do Lego and work and Age of Steam at the same time. Life does get very busy. So I'm working on it, but we'll get there. Enough about that. I need another drink of water. My goodness. The hobo in the Polar Express does say that he's the king of the North Pole. It's pretty obvious. I don't know if it'll ever be confirmed. You'd probably have to ask the people that made the Polar Express. But so the king of the North Pole, emperor of the North Pole, emperor of the North, kind of all refer to the same concept as being like the best hobo. Because if you're the best hobo, you're the king of nothing. That's what Emperor of the North means. The movie was originally titled Emperor of the North Pole, rebranded to Emperor of the North because people were going to it and thinking that they were going to see a Christmas movie. It's far from a Christmas movie. They rebranded it to Emperor of the North. I've actually got a film reel of one of the original trailers that has markets the movie as Emperor of the North Pole. I've got an actual reel of 35 millimeter film of the trailer, which I would love to digitize at some point. Although I think that there's been a digitized version uploaded to YouTube at some point. But yeah, I'm not sure if it's an Emperor of the North reference specifically, but they both reference the name Emperor of the North and the hobo in Polar Express saying he's the king of the North Pole reference the same concept. So Emperor of the North and Polar Express might not be referencing Emperor of the North, but both of those things reference the same concept. That's my take on it, at least. Balance many things at once: work, Lego, railways, roller coasters. Yeah, I would love to ride more roller coasters. Thank you for reminding me of that. Life does get so busy sometimes, doesn't it? My goodness, certainly does. Let me put all this back over here. I've got a couple of other minifigures out here that I just dropped one of them. I've got a couple of other minifigures out over here that I've assembled. One of the things that I've discovered that I enjoyed this year is doing like photography, like photo charters on railroads and things like that. But participating in them, like being in front of the camera, apparently I have found that I apparently enjoy that, I guess is the right way to say it. So I have a little bit of an eye for things like that now. So I've been kind of enjoying putting together some minifigures that kind of really nicely represents a very photogenic railroading scene from the 1940s. So I've got like different figures which I can show off here as like a very typical gentleman from the late 1940s, early 1950s, suit and tie, hat, things like that. General worker with suspenders. I believe the suspenders actually come from one of the Friends, the Friends set. Works pretty well. It gets the idea across for sure. Another general railroad worker. A lot of these torso, like all of these pieces, by the way, are standard parts, apart from like the caps for like the conductors and the engineers on some of the figures that I make. But very good, very good, very good parts available for things like that. You know, younger guy, you know, general work hand on the roundhouse. And this is actually, I actually put this guy together very recently. Kind of represents me, kind of doesn't. But again, like I said, I have an actual copy of this conductor hat, a physical one that I wear that fits on me and that I have worn at some point. So kind of represents me in the conductor outfit that I have. But interesting, interesting kind of sublet of, or sub something of the hobby. A lot of tangential topics come around in different things like this. So let's see. Makes a lot of sense. Thanks for the explanation. Glad I could help. Owen's comment about Caboose reminds me, suddenly we're discovering Maverick's roll track. This research portion of this project, we're able to confirm that a large portion of the rolling stock used in this film, including one locomotive, still exists. Several, well, all three of the steam locomotives that were seen on screen in Emperor of the North are still in existence. 19 is one of them, and I own a piece. Well, I own pieces of the real 19. They're no longer actually on the real 19 anymore, but I own pieces of it. And I own a piece of one of the other locomotives. I would love to put this into the research project, presentation, physical media, what have you, when I get to that point. But there you go. It's been a lot of fun to research the film, the railroad, and the locomotive. That one, well, the other ones as well. Been a lot of fun to do that. I am definitely a real ham for the camera. Some good photos were taken of me this year, and some of my favorite I historically haven't taken very good photos, but I don't know, maybe something about wearing overalls at Age of Steam and or conductor outfit just, you know, feels right. Makes me feel like all is right with the world. Any thoughts on building an AOS layout? That would be a dream come true. Was going to ask where you get the custom figs. Yeah, they're actually not custom. Apart from the, like I said, the conductor cap on Shaq and the other guy that I showed you, and then like I said in the 19 video, I used, basically it's like a reproduction cape piece. I just cut an extra hole in it and made it like a jacket for Cigarette and Crackers figures. Those are the only non-standard pieces in there. I literally just crawled through Bricklink and found pieces that fit. So I found really good fits for Shaq, Cigarette, A number one, Cracker, Hogger, and Coley. I found good faces for all of them that work, and good torsos and everything like that that really truly represent the character. Like if you're looking at it, you'll know exactly what character it is. So I'm really happy with that. Lots of rolling stock stored to the Oregon Coast Scenic. Some of it was. Others reconverted or repurposed. That's definitely true for some of the stuff that ended up on Oregon Coast Scenic. Some was left to the elements of Oregon. That is also true. A lot of good research, and as like I said, I would love to present all of this in a very nice, tidy, polished, finished way of doing so. But that is probably still a couple years away at this point, and research is ongoing. So as soon as I publish whatever it is that I'm going to do for that, I'll find more stuff that I'll have to write a second version of the book for, or I'm calling it a book anyways. I would love to do a book. A book makes the most sense at this point, but we'll just have to see. Let's see. Where am I at now? Building a layout or any LGMS modules. I would love to build a layout. I've got an idea for a layout that I really like, but I would, I'm kind of convincing myself, well, I've convinced myself that I need to buy a house with a basement first before I start building layout, because I could build layout here, but my worry is that I could build a lot of layout and then have to rebuild a lot of that same pieces of layout once I get into a more permanent living situation, which is annoying, but it's probably the best way of doing things, at least in my opinion. But I definitely do plan to build a layout at some point. We'll get there. Conductor outfit's good, thank you. It's certainly inspired by my own conductor outfit. I actually spent a lot of time this year putting together a Pennsylvania Railroad conductor outfit, which I got to use in an event at Age of Steam, which I was very, very happy with. Turned out very well. Very happy to have all of those kind of efforts come together. So yeah, that minifigure that I showed off, this guy, is kind of a reference to that. It's got most of the right pieces. It's got the jacket, it's got the watch chain, it's got the tie and the vest, the gloves, and then the hat. So yeah, it kind of represents me, but there you go. Oh, the actual outfit. Oh, that's right. I forgot that you saw photos of it. Yeah. Andrew and I are friends on Facebook. So yeah, I'm glad you like it. It was that was a lot of fun to put together, and I'm looking forward to using it again. It like I said, just this is getting off topic, but so like when I'm at Age of Steam, well, this year I started wearing overalls just on regular days, not just days where we fire up 12. I just wore overalls and my engineer cap that I had made for me just on regular tour days, and I found that that is just so much fun. I just love, like, I found that I just enjoy wearing overalls. It just feels like always right with the world. It's like I'm where I need to be. This is what I was meant to do. I'm wearing overalls at Age of Steam, and I'm talking about trains. Like, what's better than that? Um, the conductor outfit is the same thing, honestly. Again, that's part of the tangential things that I've discovered that I enjoy that go along with Age of Steam and like working alongside real trains part time at the very least. I'm writing a book, Glenn. We already discussed this. Yeah, I guess so. I was trying to be a little bit non-specific, but I guess there's not really a point in it anymore. I would love to write a book. Um, I would love to put all of my research on Emperor of the North and the OP&E and 19 into one place, and I would love for that to be a book. I have some leads on how to do that, but I do not have anywhere close to a finished manuscript to send to a publisher. So, like I said, it's going to be quite a ways off, but that is what I would like to do, and that is what I hope to do. I think that would be really cool. I would love to be able to tie my name to that piece of railroading history or that piece of preservation history in the United States. We'd love to do it. Maybe, hopefully, anyways, I'll be able to continue those efforts this year. That's on the list of things to do, that is. Lego in general for a minute, any non-train themes I'm fond of. Personally partial to power miners myself. I can appreciate power miners, I suppose. To be completely honest, though, not really. If I had to pick one, I would probably pick the Adventurer line from the Thousands with Johnny Thunder and all them. Just because I've always kind of enjoyed like the, you know, the low fantasy, like adventures, characters like, of course, Indiana Jones, stuff like that, and Uncharted, the video games Uncharted. I love playing through Uncharted, every single one of those. I own all of them, and I've played through them multiple times. I've always loved adventure, like that, like theme of that genre of character, whatever you want to call it. I love that kind of stuff. So I guess if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Adventures, but I'm not into it enough to call myself any sort of an expert. It's just kind of a casual passing interest, which just kind of stems from my interest in like Uncharted and things like that. Hopefully that's a good answer. Great questions, by the way. I'm happy to answer them. Need another drink. I talk for a living at Age of Steam, and I get to live stream, and all of a sudden, my throat runs dry. Can look at 12. Haven't showed 12 off yet. I'm actually going to show the engineer side of 12 because that's the side that I see it the most. 12 is pretty much always parked in stall 1, and just the way that it's presented on tours means you see the engineer's side the most. So there you go. 12 was quite a project. Obviously, being involved at Age of Steam, I was going to build it at some point. Just happened kind of sooner rather than later. Actually, there was a photo charter done in November last year, 2021, November 2021. that I was a part of, but not in front of the camera. I did get a couple pictures of myself taken with 12 during the day, but I wasn't like in overalls or whatever like that. Um, but that's where the whole kind of like interest in that started, was that day, which was very fun. A couple of my good friends were there, and I was able to make new friends that day, which was very, very nice. Made some great friends through Age of Steam in general, which has been a real blessing. But of course, I had to model 12 at some point. I knew I was going to do it. It just happened sooner, I guess, than I had originally anticipated. And I needed a switching engine, so of course it just made sense to build 12. 12 is a really neat engine. Uh, I love seeing 12 operate. I posted some video of the Santa Claus event that Aegis team put on, officially called Santa Comes to the Roundhouse. I was working during that event, and I posted the video that I took during that day, or a lot of the video that I took during that day. I posted it on my channel. I actually uploaded Christmas morning, so you might have missed it. It's a very easy thing to miss, of course, Christmas morning, but it was relevant, and I didn't want to upload it like too far after the fact, so I just did it. But yeah, having it's always a fun time when 12 is operating. So, and of course, being involved with the organization, or being involved with the Roundhouse, and semi-involved with 12, I guess, kind of partially. I'm not gonna say that I like operate 12, because I don't. I would love to, but it's just a fact of the matter right now for me, is that I am not able to get to Age of Steam enough to like become a fireman. I would love to do that, maybe in the future, but anyways, built 12, love it. It was quite a challenge. It's a very interesting engine. Talking about trying new techniques and things like that earlier, I definitely tried a lot of new things on this model of 12 that I had not done before. I used a new solution for mounting the motor in a way that I had not tried before. Um, New solutions for the firebox, new solutions for the cylinders and rods and things like that, or updated from previous models. Like I said, the solution that I came up with the cylinders and the crosshead for 12 is the same, roughly the same as 763, but and a couple other models that I built, but that all comes from 19. I did it on 19 first, and then I've kind of reworked it and even more perfected it along the way. But I'm so incredibly happy with my model of 12. I'm so happy to be able to use it, and it works very well. It's particularly strong for its size. It's an M motor geared down 3 to 5, so it's increased in torque, decreased in speed. Um, Love using it. I love the real engine. When I published 12, of course, I published a photo of my model of 12 sitting in front of the real 12. Now that it's out in the world that I am employed at Age of Steam, it's very obvious that I was able to do that. I said thank you for letting me do that in my when I published it, and I mean it, but it's, I work there, so it gets a little bit easier to do. But yeah, 12 was kind of the surprise of the year. I didn't expect to build 12. I didn't expect to model 12, or complete the model of 12, I guess I could say. But I'm very happy that I did. It was the right time to do it, so I did. And I'm very happy with the model. Let's see. Future model list is endless. Any plans for making more models of Age of Steam equipment? Absolutely. I would love to. I've got some in progress already, some that I would like to do that I haven't started yet, and some that I probably won't get to for a long, long time. Kind of, I'm interested in all of it, of course, because I have such a legitimate connection to all of that equipment and the facility itself, the Roundhouse itself. Um, some of it hits me more than others, but I have an interest in all of it. It's just when I will get to building all of it is completely up in the air. But I would love to answer your question. I would absolutely love to. Looking forward to Lego Indiana Jones theme making a return. I would love to see it. I know that actually the trailer for Indiana Jones 5 has been published, but I haven't seen it myself. I'm not sure if I want to, or if I want to just go and watch the movie when it comes out. But I'm definitely going to watch the movie, that's for sure. Do my locomotives tend to be ones I've always wanted to build for a while, or do projects happen more spur of the moment? It's definitely a mix of both. One of the locomotives that I'm working on that is not complete yet was more spur of the moment. Um, Obviously, I'm still have a great interest in finishing it. Just the interests are very fluid, and I try to just go with where the inspiration is. So, I'll build. I've actually got a locomotive designed and ready to order, but I haven't ordered parts for it. Just interests have changed and things like that. But um, it's to both. Like 19 was a long time coming. I had plans for 19 for quite a while. Work was kind of a mix of both. I had been thinking about it for a while, and then I wasn't thinking about it. Then I was, and I wasn't, and then kind of just started thinking about it again. Just like I worked a little bit on the model, then I stopped working on it. Then I worked a little bit more on it, then I stopped, and then I really worked on it and finished the model. So it definitely a mix of both of those things. Hopefully that answers your question. Fine little model. Partial to Southern Locomotives, of course, being a North Carolina native. Stone's throw from the North Carolina Transportation Museum. There you go. Yeah, Southern, originally Southern 1643, one of the A7 class 060 switchers on the Southern. Certainly nowhere near identical to as built. I've actually got a photo of this engine back its time on the Southern in my collection that I'm very happy to have. It's just a print of a photo, but still pretty cool. But very happy with this. 12 is a very uniquely proportioned engine. If you've ever seen it in real life, or if you've ever seen a really good profile view of the engine, you'll know it's kind of interesting looking, and it's quite large and tall for a switching engine. The cab sits very high for an 060, but it's really neat. It's a wonderfully fun engine to work with and ride on and ride behind and be involved with in any capacity. I've had a decent amount of time in the cab, but that is confined to just being there and enjoying it rather than actually firing or operating. Unfortunately, I would love to fire and operate all of the above, but again, just limits of time, limits of availability on my end, and limits on days when they operate 12. It's all of that is out of my control, or most of that is out of my control. But I do work full time during the week, so it's not that easy for me. But anyways. That's 12. Gonna give you another look at it here. Of course, I did post a video of detailing the model of 12. And I did actually show a lot of this model in operation. I set up a pretty good little switching yard on the floor and moved some cars around. Actually, the X29 that I showed off earlier is in the video as well, but doesn't have the decals on it. But you can see it if you've got a good eye. So that's 12. Makes sense. Sounds very similar to me, a mix of both. There you go. That being the spur of the moment rather than planned out models. How much flex tubing and detailing do you actually determine design in studio versus in person? I try to do all of it. I could show you the render for 763 that has literally got every single piece of flex tube in it. And in a lot of cases where I bend flex tube, like on the sanding lines on the locomotive and other places like that, I actually use different lengths and sections of flex tube to like mimic curves in like different short sections of straight flex tube rather than getting a custom flex tube piece made, just because I had to have no experience with custom part design and things like that. And it's just what I found works with me. But I get 99% of detail in a model before I order it. That's for sure. Digitally, that is. It takes a long time, but I find it really helps to kind of know what I want to do for details in advance of building the physical model, because I like going into that with a plan rather than just having a bare, undetailed model in front of me and just like, all right, what do I want to do? Rather than, as opposed to what I prefer doing, which is going through it in studio and saying like, all right, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Here's the way I want the flex tube to look in this section. Here's the custom pieces I need in this section. Here's how I want to attach these different things. Maybe I need to go back and rework this, different things that I find along the way. But I try to get the vast majority of all the detailing in well in advance of actually constructing the physical model. Hopefully that answers your question. Ever thought about building one of the later built 440s like the Chicago and Illinois Midland had in the 20s? I have not. I did actually. this was quite a while ago, as in like several years ago, but I have wanted to build, I used to want to build a modern 440. Maybe I will again at some point, but certainly not anytime soon. Never seen anyone use as many brick arms clips as Glenn. Oh, it's an indecent detail that pays off. It's such a running gag at this point about how many monopods and U-clips I use in my models. Like, I used like 75 of each in the Berkshire, like, at least. It's honestly, it's ridiculous at this point. Oh my goodness. Broken the seal and built several diesels that I've shown you. Yes, I would. I love the one that you sent me that I'm remembering. I love that one. I would love to get into diesel. Somebody asked this question earlier. I have one that I really want to build, and there's a very good reason for it. I have one that I really want to build. I have another one that I would like to build for a different reason. After that, I have absolutely no idea, but I would certainly like to do it. North Carolina has so much Southern heritage. North Carolina, Great Smoky, and Tweetsie has ties to the Southern. Certainly does. North Carolina is a pretty solid railroading history state. I have been to the museum in Spencer myself. Not while 611 was there. Sorry, that was actually in 2020. I went down there for kind of a half a day. Very nice place down there. Wish I could have seen more of it. But yeah, definitely a lot of ties to the Southern. I wish I could say I would like to build more Southern equipment, but I definitely don't have any interest in anything specific at this point. Maybe that will change in the future. Glenn uses brick arms clips like 7-wide builders use jumper plates. That is probably the understatement of the century. Make the Age of Steam critter. Wouldn't take me more than a week. Actually, one of my good friends, Rob, has designed a General Electric 25-tonner, so I would just borrow his design. I would love to make that engine. I think it's such a neat little thing. It's another one of the engines that I've seen operate. They actually use the 25-tonner a lot at Age of Steam, so it's really, it's kind of it's a weird little thing, but I've kind of got a soft spot for it. Like I said, I have interest in all of the Age of Steam equipment, but you know, everything hits me a little bit differently, so it'll happen. I'm sure it'll happen at some point, but just a matter of getting to that point is the question. Fun fact you learned today: Central Pacific, I'm sorry, Canadian Pacific, that's more relevant to you, is using some of the 440s out on the Maritimes into the 50s. This is the last 440s in mainline service in the North America. That's pretty interesting. Now I've learned that today. Fantastic stuff. Sorry. Got to turn my phone on for a notification that I'm expecting. We can look at another caboose now. Getting down to the end of the models that I have to show off. Of course, this is the nickel plate caboose that was designed by Cale, and he graciously allowed me to build the first test copy of this model. It is so fantastically cool. I'm very happy to have this car behind my model of 763. Cale did a bang up job on this car. Like I said, he always does a good job on his models. These cabooses are really cool. It's the 1000 series wooden cabooses on the nickel plate. Nickel plate stuff, by the way, is very easy to find diagrams for. Pretty much the Historical Society has got a number of different compendiums of diagrams from nickel plate equipment of different from different years. Very much worth looking into if you're interested in any nickel plate stuff or stuff used by the nickel plate, because they did use some common designs in some freight cars and things like that. But this is a nickel plate caboose through and through. Like I said, 1000 series wood car. Cale did a fantastic job on it. Accurate interior as usual. I've got a brakeman there on the end. Maybe I can show him off kind of. There you go. You can see him pretty well. I've kind of got him wearing a vest and a tie and then kind of like a chore coat. Works pretty well. The caboose is fantastic. There are a couple of these in preservation. 1166 here is not, but I have good reasons for choosing car number 1166 anyways. But like I said, Cale did a fantastic job on this car, and I love it to absolute death. It's so cool, and it looks so good behind 763, which I'll show here in a minute, but I'm going to answer a couple more questions that I've seen pop up in the chat before I do so. Put the caboose back at the very least. Make sure it doesn't roll off. What have we got now? Ever considered attempting to model narrow gauge locomotive at any point? I would love to, but it's so far down the list. I might not get to it anytime soon, or I may never get to it. I'd love to, though. I do agree, though, it would be a fun challenge. CP Norton Branch used 3440s since bridges would not hold any of the first-gen diesels. Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense why they would do it. Not to stray too far from Lego, passionate for AOS and its projects when Loco is rating Camelback. Of course, everybody's interested in the Camelback. Cosmetic restoration has progressed nicely. By the way, if you want the official word from Age of Steam, which is going to be better than what I can give, just for reasons relating to employment, Age of Steam has published a roundhouse report on the equipment that came out November, I'm pretty sure, which does a fantastic job going into solid detail regarding the projects and progress at Age of Steam since the last roundhouse report, which was more than a year since. So very, very well worth the read. It's not even that long of a read, but it's got a lot of information, and I highly recommend looking at that. You can access that through the Age of Steam website. There should be a section for roundhouse reports. You can find that on their website, which is the question that Owen just asked. There you go. What about BNLE 643? You'll have to find that on the website too. I don't have great updates that I could give. I don't have any better information than what they can give, so I would just tell you to go find the report there. Kale does have a magic touch for making cabooses. He absolutely does. Caboose, plural for caboose. If you, I guess the informal is cabooses, caboose, cabin cars. I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer for that. Why did railroads change their logos over the years? It's like other companies rebrand. It's just progress, change of times, change of scenery, change of mission, I guess. Just part of corporate, part of businesses, honestly. I think I'm caught up all there. Vans, Calvin, being the Canadian, has to say Vans, of course. All right, I'll see if I can show off 763 here for a moment. I apologize if I won't be able to do it for very long. It's definitely the biggest engine here, and I don't want to run the risk of throwing it onto the desk or anything like that, but I'll definitely hold it up here for a little bit. 763, the wonderful, wonderful Burke. I love this engine so much. Like I said earlier, I've developed quite a fondness of the nickel plate 284s, 763, of course, specifically being the one preserved at the Age of Steam Roundhouse Museum. Set it back down here just before I drop it. There we go. Very happy with 763. You definitely got to watch the video for that one. I go into it in far more detail than I can here. I'm already well past an hour and a half for live stream, but I'm happy to keep going for a little bit. The Burke was quite a project. Oh my goodness. It started in October 2021, laid out the wheelbase and different things like that. Kind of worked on it a little bit, worked on it, then didn't, worked on it a little bit more, than didn't. But really got a fire lit under myself in the early part of 2022 and just really became very interested in it. And like I said, did all the research, fell in love with the locomotive after having found the history of it and reading the Berkshires of the Nickel Plate Road book. Again, you should definitely read that book. It's a fantastic story. Like I said in the video, it is definitely the most new ground up work that I've ever done on a model within recent memory. It's very similar to the Mohawk, but there's so much different on it than the Mohawk. Like I sit here now knowing all, like thinking back on all the things that I've done with that engine and all of the different techniques that I've done and the new techniques that I've created and the different things that I tried on it, the things that worked. I'm amazed that I was even able to make it. It was such an involved project. It drove me absolutely insane at some points, like trying to get that engine modeled and put together and running properly. And everything like that. Like a lot of it wasn't that difficult. Like I had a good starting point with the Mohawk and things like that, but it's so different. It's so brand new and just so intricate and all of those other things that it just, oh my word, it was the greatest effort uh to get it done. And I'm shocked that I got it done this year, honestly. Just that's how much went into that model. And again, this is not trying to brag. I'm just literally just telling you how it is. Like there is so much involved with that engine. Oh my word. But it's done. I've got it. I've got the file for it updated completely. And I would love to build another at some point. I would love to build another at some point. We'll see. Oh my word. What a beauty. Big Burke. Absolutely love it. Burke in one hand, Mohawk in the other. Not from me unless I disconnect them. Serious work of art. Nice. Scott would be disappointed in you that I didn't drop it. Appreciate all of the comments. I hope that I never drop that engine. I would hate myself for it. But thank you guys. It does mean an absolute, it means the world to me that people still appreciate my work. Like I said, I've been doing this for so long. I'm surprised that in some ways, I'm surprised that I'm still going. With the hobby. It's certainly tried my patience at a lot of points. Different models have tried my patience specifically. It's definitely not easy at a lot of points, but it's the personal satisfaction that I get from it, the gratification that I get from it is really nice. It's a really nice way to use the technical skill that I've been given, that I've been blessed with, some of my innate abilities to work with things like this, and some of the abilities and skills that I've had to learn along the way. It's quite a thing to be able to do. It's quite a blessing to be able to do it and do it fairly well, I would say, and a blessing to be able to work with the equipment that I have deep appreciation for in real life. Of course, like 19 and 763 and the Age of Steam collection and everything like that. It's quite insane, but great place to be, honestly. Sorry, I'm having to pay attention to my phone. Just want to make sure that I don't miss a couple things that I'm waiting on. Is there a possibility of a smaller steam locomotive like the 12 made into a BMR model kit? I would say the possibility is there, but it's very unlikely. I haven't been involved with BMR for well over a year at this point in any capacity. Kale is doing a pretty solid job keeping that going. Kale also has a lot of other responsibilities, so if it seems like BMR is less active than it used to be, it's because of that. Kale is a busy guy. Everybody involved with it is busy. I can speak from experience with that. Like I said, I have no involvement with it anymore, but I am aware of the work that it takes to keep it going, and things happen. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to. This is not in like bringing it up to like speak poorly on it. I'm sure Kale is still in the chat and knows exactly what I'm trying to say, but like life is busy. And like I said, Kale has a lot of other responsibilities at this point that sometimes means BMR has to just take a back seat for a while. That's part of it, but which is also off topic from your question. I apologize, but I'm definitely not going to. I don't have any plans to sell 12 instructions or kits or anything like that. That would be, I mean, if Kale wants to convince me to sell 12 as a BMR kit, he's welcome to try. But I'm not necessarily interested in doing it. Maybe something else, but I don't have any plans. And hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. Unlikely to happen, but if one of your locos like the Burke ever made it over to the UK, would be super awesome seeing it run on a layout. Would love to make that happen. I would love to visit the United Kingdom and Ireland and and Scotland and a couple of other places in the area. I did take an international trip last year, which was fantastic. I would love to do another one to a different place. International trips are very intense to coordinate, but they're very fun. I'd love to do it again. I can't promise that even if I do, I could bring the Berk. The Berk is a big model to travel with, but I won't rule it out. So we'll see. Or you guys could come over here, by the way. But we'll see. We will see. Glenn, at the start of the stream, I'm really tired and I don't want to do this. I didn't say that I didn't want to do it. I said that I was going to do it anyways. I have been streaming for about an hour and 50 minutes, and I'm perfectly happy to keep going. I've been enjoying this. Hopefully the viewers have been enjoying it as well. Lot to talk about. 2022 was quite a year. Let's see. May have brought a little bit of U.S. railbook over from the States. Yeah, Owen is well known for his UK stuff, but not too long ago, he texted me photos of like, hey, I'm building a diesel switcher locomotive, and it was just so out of left field for him. It was so funny, but he did a fantastic job on it. I'd like to thank you and Kel critiquing my work at BFVA 2021 was your inspiration for working on it a few months later. I'm not going to say that's untrue, but I won't say that it's the only reason. I do love your Berk, Shane. It's fantastic and a well-deserved winner of the Brick Train Awards this year. Fantastic job, and congratulations again. Just looking at Age of Steam on Google Maps, didn't realize I've been so close. You drove through Ohio via Columbus to Cedar Point. Yeah, you were like an hour and a half away. Oh, you didn't even say hi, man. Come on. Maybe you'll make it there someday if you can go to Cedar Point again. Actually, I need to go to Cedar Point, so maybe we can meet up for a weekend. That would be fun. But you're welcome, Age of Steam. Oh, that's it. Favorite models from other builders that came out in 2022. I can't even like think of a list of models off the top of my head from other builders in 2022 that I could talk about, to be completely honest with you. Now, I'm sure like I know for a fact that I've thought of other models during this year and said like, oh, that's really nice. Like, I really like that. And, I'm sure that there's a list somewhere in my head, but now that you've asked the question, I can't at all think of any of them. So I apologize for that. There have been some pretty good models made this year, and it never ceases to amaze me the places that this community has gone, and this how much people are willing to push the envelope on some things, and willing to drive things forward and different things like that. It's an amazing thing, and just the quality of models now is just astounding, and like the consistency of the quality of models is astounding, in my opinion. It's such an incredible thing, and it's just so, having been in the hobby for 15-ish years in a more public sense, it's so amazing to realize where we've come from and see where we are now. Like, all of this, like, I never would have expected that I would be able to do this, but then like there are other people making models that are like just as good and like astronomically better than even the best models of 8 years ago. It's absolutely nuts. It's so cool, and quite a nice thing to see come to fruition. I just won an eBay auction. That was the notification that I had to wait for. It was an important one, though. Let's see, what else have we got? Yes, come visit. I would love to. Imagining if you did bring any of the models, it would be smaller than the Berk. Most definitely. 19 would probably be the easiest one to bring. I actually brought 26 with me, my Grey Ridge 460. I brought that with me overseas last year, which turned out quite well. But I would love to bring 19. You've already visited me. That's correct, Owen. You did. That was quite a fun time. I'm glad that we got to do that and meet in person finally. So many good models just from judging the Brick Train Awards. Absolutely. Andrew has been one of the Brick Train Awards judges. I judged this year. Absolutely astounding work that we've seen come out of every corner of the United States. Not just the United States, every corner of the world is what I meant to say. Absolute treasure chest of gold models. That's amazing celebration of high-level model making. Absolutely. So one of the models that I did just think of is the all-door box car that was featured in BTA. I love that car. I love the model of that car. I think it's very well done, and the functioning opening doors are just fantastic. I really really like it. And I would love to have a copy of it someday if I could. Thoughts on the upcoming Lego Ideas Orient Express set? Very interested in it. I love the Orient Express. I would love to have a good model of it. We, I guess, have yet to see what the Lego set of it will be like. I will be certainly disappointed if it comes out and is similar. It is more similar to the Harry Potter train that we got this year or in 2022. I'll be very disappointed if that's the case. But we'll see. I hope that it is not like that very much. I would love to have a good functioning running model of the Orient Express, even if it is a Lego kit. I would love to buy it if it is. Let's see, personally hacked for it. There you go. Did I have any trouble taking models in a plane across the border? No, actually, I didn't. I packed the 460 quite well in a box. Actually, it was that box. It's a cardboard box right there. I packed it in that with bubble wrap and got it in there and taped the box together and got it so like I could do this with the box and it didn't seem to move at all. Survived perfectly fine. I was, it always has a few things fall off, but I was able to put those things back together. I also took the Combine, the dark red Combine, but that was a last minute decision. So I just kind of stuffed it in the suitcase and that did not fare well at all. But I did get it back. I did get it back together. But definitely put them in a box, pack them in as tight as you can, and then seal the box. That is definitely what you'll want to do if you ever need to fly with a model. I do try to not fly with models as much as possible, though. I much prefer driving or sending them out with Kale or whatever, stuff like that. Security being a pain. Actually, so yeah, I flew 20 with the 460 with the 10 battery in the tender, and it was not a problem. And that was an international border that I crossed, so no problem. If you do the same and have a problem with it, I would be surprised. So I think you'll be okay. But your mileage may vary. Well, there you go. That is my 2022 in hindsight. I talked about it a little bit in 2023, the things that I would like to do, but I mentioned that I would love to build more equipment from Emperor of the North. Like I said, I've already got a start on that. I was actually talking to Kale earlier this past week and kind of have a rough game plan in my head as for the models that I would like to work on sooner rather than later. I've actually got a good handful of freight cars that I would love to build of different types, different styles, sizes, and eras. Well, they're pretty much all steam or transition era, but quite a few different freight cars that I'd like to build. I have a 2 steam locomotives that I would like to build, 2 new steam locomotives that I have not built before. One is on the bigger side, one is on the smaller side, but I think those will give me something good to work for in a couple different ways. But that's just the plan. Beyond that, it's a toss up, and anything could happen between now and the end of 2023. Certainly, the exact modeling plans for 2022 I can't remember, but I'm confident in saying that that the product of that was not the outcome of 2022 was certainly not 100% in line with the goals that I set for my models. But that's not a bad thing. Like I didn't expect to model 12 and I modeled 12, or a couple of the other engines. Like I didn't really expect to build 763. I didn't know when 19 was going to be done. It was just in progress and had been for a while. But those are all good things, and that's why I try to just go with the inspiration when I have it. Is I know that the final product will be worth having, and it'll be a fun thing to work on along the way. So, like, it's that plan by the Scottish poet, "The best laid plans of mice and men," something like that. But those are things that I'd like to do: is larger steam locomotive, smaller steam locomotive, handful of freight cars, and more stuff from Emperor of the North. That's where I'd like to go in the immediate future. We'll see if that actually happens, but definitely would like to do those things for sure. Beyond that, I would love to work myself towards having a house. I'd love to get a house, and I'd love to have a basement in that house, and I'd love to start putting a layout in that basement in that house. But of course, that's just the idea and the plan. Whether it goes to that plan or not will remain to be seen. But I would love to do that because, like I said earlier, I do have a really good idea for a layout that I'm very interested in, and I'm um, very much a fan of. I think it would work out very well. I've got a lot of ideas for different parts of the layout and different things that I would like to do with it. I have no layout building experience at all, though, so it would be a challenge for me and a process start to finish. I would love to start on it, though, but it's just I don't want to start on something that I'll have to um, dismantle almost entirely. In some cases, I might have to do that, but just for the fact that I would like to just start something and continue doing it rather than build 30 by 30 inches worth of layout, then have to dismantle 90% of it. I would hate to do that. So that comes down to having a place to put the layout as I build it and expand in multiple directions from one spot rather than just build different disconnected sections of layout and then figure out how to join them together when I get to that point. But that's just personal preference. And again, that's just what I would like to do. Whether or not it happens that way, we'll see. But that's, at least for modeling, that's what I would like to do in 2023. I've got a lot to look forward to in 2023 outside of Lego. A lot of it gets into the more personal side of me, but which I won't go into very much just to maintain some level of privacy. But I do have a lot of reasons to be excited about this year. 2022 was a good year for me, as was 2021. Both of those years were very good. Of course, 2020 was interesting, but I got to do the Mohawk in 2020. Last year, I published several models. I published 26 and whatever the other ones are that I can't even remember. And this year I published 12, 19, and 763. And I've got these freight cars done, the Cabooses and the other stuff. I can't complain. Honestly, I can't complain. And I've been able to do all that, do Age of Steam, continue working full time. I've been in a good spot. I really can't complain about the way things have been for me. I'm very pleased with it. I realize that I'm very blessed. I'm very fortunate. And I'm looking forward to continuing on down those paths and opening new doors for myself and making other things work. That's where I'm at. That's 22 in hindsight, and that's looking forward to 2023. Which I guess is the point of the stream. So unless there are any last minute questions, we'll leave the stream going for just a little bit longer. But that's all the content that I've planned for the evening. If you guys have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I would like to thank everybody for watching. 2 hours is a long time to watch a live stream for, and we've actually maintained pretty consistent viewership. It's been quite solid for the entire duration of the stream. So if you're watching this and have or even haven't commented, I really appreciate your support through viewership, and I appreciate your comments and questions. Really, like I say in every video, which turns into me rambling at the end of every video, but I really do appreciate the support. It is so incredibly touching to see all these people come out and support me, and through comments and compliments and questions and viewership and everything like that. It really is just from the bottom of my heart. I want to say thank you. It's been I never would have expected to be doing models like these. I wouldn't have expected to be involved with Age of Steam. I wouldn't, like, all those things have just been incredible, and I'm glad that I can share part of it with the rest of the world and make something really interesting out of it through social media and YouTube and what have you. So again, thank you very much, everybody, for the support. It does mean a lot to me, and I'm very happy to be doing what I'm doing. Nice stream. Glad you could be here. I'm glad you could be here too. I'm certainly glad you could be here. Vids in the stream inspired me to try and make more vids this year. I would love to see you make more vids, Andrew. Always enjoy your stuff. I actually did watch your train running video from, I guess, the past week or so ago. Very nicely done. I always enjoyed those. Back in the day, this is going to be a throwback that I just thought of, but the Lego Trains in the Garden was a video that I watched several times over back in the day. So I always enjoy videos like that, especially from you. It's just always well and nicely done. So thank you for doing that. I would love to see more videos from you this year, Andrew. Great to catch you as well, Owen. Look forward to talking with you more in the future, and hope to visit you again. I'm glad you got to come here, and that was a lot of fun. Now I guess that you are right. I do have to return the favor at some point, so we'll see if we can make that happen. Keep up the awesome work, Glenn. Never get enough of the Lego models like in your collection. I'm very happy to hear you say that. Really appreciate the compliment. It's quite something to be doing this. To continue to be doing this at this point and be involved with so many aspects of it. So very glad you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for the compliment. You're welcome for the entertainment, John. Here's to a new year's fantastic new opportunities. Well said. Couldn't have said it better myself. Absolutely. Guys, I'm going to end it there. We just hit the 2-hour mark. Really appreciate it. Again, for all the support. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll leave the video up on my channel in case you joined late and did not get to see everything. I did talk about every model that I've done this year. I guess actually the only couple ones that I didn't mention, which I'll just throw in really quick here. The Buffalo Creek and Golly number 13, I actually did do a couple of small things to it on that. I basically just added some decals on it, which I was able to do just thanks to better photographs. And the Mohawk 2791, my personal copy of the Mohawk, got the final printing and correct information printed on it, correct builder's plate and everything like that, which I'm very happy to have. So the Mohawk is done. I have published a lot of video of it and photos of it and videos of it running and stuff like that, but it didn't have some of those final pieces on it yet. So that's done now too. But I didn't dig them out. And also 26, my Gray Ridge 460 has a light in it. And I did do a couple of other detailed changes to that, but those are so minor, and they're also still packed in that box that I didn't feel like getting them out, so you'll just have to take my word for it. But Andrew's going to bed. It's 2:30 a.m. I don't blame you. I probably will go to bed not before too long here, so don't blame you. Sleep well. But again, guys, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate your support. Thank you for coming out to the stream. More videos to look forward to in 2023. At least I hope so. Like I said, I want to do some stuff at different shows. But we'll just have to get there and see what happens. I will leave it here for now. 2 hours is a long time to talk, but I wouldn't. Again, thank you very much. And I'll hopefully talk to you all very soon. Thank you for joining the stream. Have a good night. Have a good morning, or whenever you're watching this. Talk to you later.